we may start. Yeah. So, good evening. I always pray before studies. I ask the help of God in the studies of our books and Judaism. So first of all, about my English. My English is not my native language, but I studied it from when I was 3, and till now. I translated several books from Russian into English, English into Russian, but the last years I have no oral practice, but I'll try my best to be clear and to explain what I wanted to explain in the evening. So, about myself. I was born in 1952 in Moscow. In 1979, I was discharged from my work because of my illegal teaching of Hebrew and Torah. And 10 years I studied in Moscow with prominent rabbis. And I got my rabbinical education in Moscow. And from 1980 to in 1989 I arrived in Israel, and I was teaching Torah and engaged in many activity, and I taught in the Hebrew University on the Mount Scopus, and I teach in Bar Ilan University. So it's about me. I wrote several books, and you see some of them. It's a commentary for the prophets. I wrote nine books. So, and today I wanted to speak with you about the Jews and the human history, or Jews in the human history. And so the first point, the first thing that I would like to point, will start from a small speech of a Russian writer about Jews. And we'll see what he said. It is Leo Tolstoy. He is famous all over the world. And he writes a lot about Jews. The question is not as strange as it may seem at first glance. Let us examine this free creature that was insulated and oppressed. What is a Jew that didn't succumb to any worldly temptations offered by his oppressors and persecutors, so that he would renounce his religion and abandon the faith of his fathers? The Jew is a sacred being who procured an eternal fire from the heavens, and with it illuminated the earth and those who live on it. He is the spring and the source from which the rest of the nations drew their religions and beliefs. It is very interesting, but it doesn't explain anything. So we try to find the explanation for this miracle that Leo Tolstoy called the Jews. And the history of the children of Israel is the history of struggle against idolatry and against idolatry. It would seem very strange. It would seem that freedom of thought could become the basis for correction of the world, elimination of hostility and tensions from it. So, but in our time, we speak about the freedom of conscience, and everybody can believe in what he wants to believe. He must be a proper person. He must to behave properly in society. But believe, what does it matter? Believe. The Judaism says another thing. Judaism says that our belief in one God gives gives the life. So it is our connection to the source, or to the source of life, and we should believe in one God to be alive. And if we do not believe in one God, this connection, we abandon this connection, and we are not so alive that we could be. And not only believe, but the commandments of God, we should keep commandments of God. So in the 19th century, before the Christian era, 300 years after the flood, people concluded that they couldn't live in a constant fear of new disasters. United by desire to create a world free from God's tyranny, they initiated construction of a tower to ascend into the sky and win their independence. Having come to the conclusion that Almighty is a cruel ruler who effected the flood each time, he is not satisfied with something. In fact, they have created another deity. So the history of humanity starts with the battle with God, with one God, to make the humanity free from him, from his commandments. And Abraham, who used to live in this time of the Tower of Babel construction, made an attempt to persuade the people that the only God who had created the world was blessing, and blessing for all the humanity. And only living him leads and only living him leads to misery. So, as we said, the God is the source of life, and if we do not believe in him, do not believe in one God, so we are not connected to the source of life. So the prophets see that in the future, all the people will believe in one God, and it will bring the peace in the world, and it will bring blessing in the world. So we'll see what the prophet says about the future. The prophet Isaiah says, the word that Isaiah, the son of Amoz, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the latter days that the mountain of God's house shall be established on the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. And he will judge between the nations, and will decide concerning many peoples, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks, Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. O house of Jacob, come here and let us walk in the light of God. So we see that the prophet declares that the belief in one God is a principal thing. If you believe in deities, in many deities, uh, we we should live in a cruel world conducted by the forces of nature, cruel forces of nature. And Zechariah says, the Lord will be king over the whole earth. On that day, there will be one Lord, and his name, the only name. So he said that the people in the future will believe in one God and will call him by one name. What's a belief in one God? So we believe in one God, and his oneness is absolute. So we see in our world all the things are combined from some details, but and we not see the absolute oneness in our world. The God is one, and we should believe in one God, that his oneness is absolute. So indeed, the first commandments, the first commandments that were given to people were given to all the people, not only to the Jewish people, but to all the people. It was after the flood that the God spoke with Noah, and his sons, first of all with Noah, and he gave him 7 commandments. And we'll see these 7 commandments. Do not deny God, do not blaspheme God, do not murder, do not engage in illicit sexual relations, do not steal, do not eat from a live animal, a piece of a live animal, establish court, legal system to ensure justice, It is simple to say, but it is difficult, but it's difficult to make it. So when we do not deny God, so we must, we said that we must believe in God, and it is true. But how can I learn about the only one God, the one and the only one God? What are his properties? Today, the answer is that people over the world do not know about the one God and about his properties. Its knowledge is the knowledge is saved only with Jews that study Torah, that the God spoke with the Jewish people 3,300 years ago, and he told them, he told them about him, what the God told about him, that we can know about him, and the other people, the other nations, did not preserve the knowledge about one God. So today, if somebody wants to believe in God, in one God, we must come to Jews, to rabbis, and to rabbinical court and to ask what are the properties of God. So, and what he will learn, that God has no parts. He is God has no parts. His oneness is absolute, absolute, and that's the first thing that he will learn. So the second commandment is to respect the Creator, and the third one, respect human life. Every human being is the entire world, and I am forbidden to kill, and I should be very, very careful concerning human life. But how can I know when and under which circumstances I am permitted to kill? I must kill. Maybe uh, 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 maybe somebody committed a crime. He killed somebody. What I'll do? I can't set him free. Maybe I should kill him. I do not know. Somebody attacks me. Am I permitted? Am I permitted to protect myself and even to kill the person that attacks me? How can I know? Today I can know it only from Torah. And if I do not want to be a Jew, if I want to stay out of Jewish people, anyway, I must come to a rabbi and to ask him this question: Am I permitted to protect myself and even to kill the person that attacks me? And the general answer will be yes. We know in Christianity the answer is another one. But in Judaism, we say that everyone must protect his own life. And the first commandment is respect the institution of marriage. How can I know is divorce is forbidden or it is a part of human life? How can I know it? And the answer is the same answer. I should ask the Jews that study Torah and they know the principles of God. And the answer is that divorce is permitted. It may be, so the divorce is permitted. Respect the rights and property of others. Be honest in all your business. Respect God's creatures. And first, respect God's creatures, and it is forbidden to eat meat of a living creature. All right, the next, maintain justice. Justice is it's God's business, but we are given the charge to lay down necessary laws and enforce them whenever we can. So it is right, but I do not know what is justice. See, in Islam, you may count a hand of a person that steals something, Is it justice? Not justice. Is it justice to injure a thief, to cut his hand? How can I know it? So the answer is the same answer. To come to rabbinical court and to ask this question. I want, I'm not, I'm not, I'm not a Jew, but I want to establish a court, a court of justice in my country. What are the principal laws? What I should do with criminals, the killers, the thieves, that it will be according to the God's law. And we understand that non-Jews are given 7 commandments, very special commandments, and very important commandments, and no nation can live for a long time if it doesn't observe these commandments. But no people in the world know how to keep these commandments. What are the details of these commandments? So only with the contact with the Jewish people, the rabbinical court, the other nation, the other people, they can keep these commandments. All right, this is one subject that I wanted to discuss with you, and we proceed further. So we'll see the David's Psalm number 2, and I'll try to understand with you something very important for us. Why do the nations rage and the people meditate a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against God and against his anointed, saying, let us break these bonds asunder and cast away their cords from us. He that sits in the heavens will laugh. The Lord will have them in derision. Then will he speak unto them in the wrath, and vex them in his sore displeasure. So we see some phenomenon for the nations, for the people. It is very difficult. It is very difficult to accept the God, the law of God. Very difficult, and they protest. Sometimes they do some things that they even do not understand, that they are protest against the law of God. And till people worship the deities and the gods of nature, there can't be peace in our land, because people can't improve themselves. So I have for you a small journey. It is I did it. A small travel, a small journey, special for you. I did it specially for you today, and I want to show you. So We are starting our journey. Our aim, our goal is to trace the Jewish impact on the history of humanity. And the first thing we should find is a starting point. Don't worry, it's not a long ride. It will take 2 minutes from my house. By the way, I am living in a settlement that Germans and Europeans, they call it illegal settlement. It doesn't matter that the Jewish agency bought this land before 100 years ago. It doesn't matter that I am standing on the land of my ancestors. I am illegal. Jew is always illegal. So the place that I wanted to take you is the Patriarch's Way, the road of fathers of the nation. So, and I wanted to see with you several things. So I've told you that the history of humanity and the history of Jews, it is a struggle, it is a history of struggle against idolatry. It is a struggle in the inside Jewish people, and it is a struggle among it is a struggle of Jewish people against idolatry in the nations. And what you see is the illustration of it. So we are standing with you on the path, on the way of fathers of nation, of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. It is the ancient road that goes from Hebron to Jerusalem. And our fathers went there step by step, but not only Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov did go there. A lot of people, after the temple was built, were going by this road to the temple of God. So this is the map. They are going from Hebron to Jerusalem. And we can imagine these people going to the temple. And thousands of people did go by this road. But, so I'm searching my picture. I'm searching my picture, the proper picture that I need. Just a minute. Just a minute. So something goes wrong. Just a minute. We can imagine them going from their home to the mount that God. So I do not understand. We may have known the picture, but anyway, we've seen here a stone. It's a milestone. The stone is an ancient stone from the Romans' time. The Romans, as you know, destroyed the temple, and they called the sacred town of Jerusalem they named it by the name El Capitalina because they built there a temple of Jupiter of Capitalina. And so we see it today. We Jews return to our past that leads to the temple. And these paths, I would say, leads all humanity to the future, to the time that everybody will recognize that God is one, that his oneness is absolute, and but the stone, the milestone of Romans, he says us, all the roads go not to Jerusalem, all the roads go to Roma, to Rome. And this struggle of religious, or struggle of religions of one God, the Jewish religion, is not ceased today. Not ceased today, and we learned with you that in the future, if all the people will believe in one God, all the wars will stop. All the wars shall stop. Will stop. All right. If somebody has some questions, I'll be very glad to answer these questions. All right. So this is a picture. This is a picture of a painter, Jewish painter, Lillian. And in this picture, we see Abraham is going with Yitzhak from Hebron to Jerusalem, and they are going on this road that we've seen it. So, so the God, as we know, told to Abraham to sacrifice his son Yitzhak. And Abraham didn't know what will be, but he knew only one thing, that it will improve the world. So they came to Mount Moriah, and they built their altar together, and Abraham put Yitzhak on this altar, and at this moment God said to him, set free the child. Do not do anything to the child. And by this, God showed to all the people that He doesn't want human sacrifices. And the world that Abraham lived was a very cruel world. So the children were considered the property of their parents, and parents could kill their people. They killed not productive children, that killed the children that were not healthy, the children that they didn't want them. They killed them. It was usual in all the world. Some people think that it was natural with Greeks in Sparta, but no, but was natural. It was a tradition in all the world. Well, the world was very cruel, and so we spoke about human sacrifices, and people thought that if they will sacrifice one child, their children, their other children, will be alive and will be healthy. It was the belief in the world that Abraham lived, and Abraham tried to teach the people that every person, that God is one, and he loves people, he loves human natures, uh, and he doesn't hate human nature that people thought and didn't want to pray to God and pray to the deities, um, to the powers of nature. And Abraham taught everybody, he taught that God loves human beings, and that uh, every person is created in image and in the likeness of God, and you have nothing more supreme than that human life. It was the teaching of Abraham. Some people before Abraham they knew that God is one, but they did not teach another people that they were afraid that people wouldn't understand uh, this message. But Abraham taught everybody. He was persecuted. He he was thrown into a fire because his belief, but he didn't stop teaching. But his attempt was in vain. He had no pupils. He was alone. He was working from place to place till he came to the land of Israel. But here he didn't pupils too. Everybody lived him, and he lived in Hebron with his wife and with his child Yitzhak. And because of this, the God told Abraham to do what he did, to take his son, to the Mount Moriah and to lift him up on altar and to take him from altar. And from this time, the world started a little bit, step after step, to be more good, more human. And human sacrifices, and people left human sacrifices. They stopped sacrifice children. They stopped killing children. It didn't happen in one day and didn't happen in 1 year, but we know because it was the starting point of human history, that the world uh, became, maybe in 1,000 years, but it became more human. So if somebody has questions, I will be glad to answer these questions. So uh, uh, so if you have no questions now, and you have some questions in future, you can write me through this program, and I try to answer your questions. I try to answer questions in English. So I'll tell everybody good evening, and I hope to meet you again. Thank you very much.
Vielen Dank. Toda raba. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I tried my best. I hope that it was clear. So goodbye. Thank you.
Goodbye. All the best. It was clear and great. Be well. Shabbat tov. See you next time, everyone.